Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and the farm. This is Lisa, and today we are going to give you a full garden tour and at the end tell you a little bit about what's been going on here. So come on along, let's show you what we got. In the main garden, we've got everything planted. Well, I should say everything is planted everywhere, but we have marigolds, we have zucchini and yellow squash. You can see it's flowering. We've got some Swiss chard over there next to the chives, potatoes in the back 2 rows, cabbage and cauliflower, and at the very back we have peas. The peas were planted so long ago and they're still so tiny, but we're giving them a shot there to see if we get any, because I had a bunch of seeds left over and that's what came up. Let's go around back and I'm going to show you what we got going on there. These are like the forgotten gardens back here, but I actually have to get the hail netting over, which is that black stuff right there, because today we are expecting severe storms, and as per usual here, it's either they forecast them and they hit us, or they forecast them and they completely miss us. We've got some rhubarb I'm getting ready to harvest. We added an additional horseradish plant, so this is all horseradish. We've got some garlic from last year coming up, which is so funny. That was the ones that I planted in the spring. I really need to get weeding our garlic bed. I have not done that yet. Like I said, it's a forgotten bed back here. Last year, the garlic did really well, even though I didn't weed it. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go out front and I'll show you what's going on there. Our currant bush actually has flowers on it this year, as you can see. I'm hoping we get some currants, but so far we have not gotten any. I do know the elderberry, why we haven't gotten any, because I need a second one. I'm still toying with that, if that's something I want to do. Over here is our main garden. And you can see, if this is your first time here, we have hail netting up. We finally invested in some this year. And I'm hoping it works, because after this, I'm done spending money on stuff like that, because it's really expensive. And I'll talk more about that later on. But let's show you what we got going on here. So I've got some lemon balm, some thyme, some parsley, some more thyme, I believe there. Our lettuces are growing, and where it died from the last hail hit, I've planted more, and you can see it's starting to come up. Raspberry bushes are looking happy, although they always look happy this time of year. It's whether they produce or not. This here is a lavender plant that I put there. We've got our blueberries, still no signs of life, so I think that they are gone. So I did put flowers in with one. More raspberries. And our asparagus, so we have added over the years. So we were able to harvest about a pound of asparagus from the middle row. And so we are letting everything go to seed at this point. And the horseradish that I had in here last year is coming up all over. So we're going to dig this half of the bed up to try and eradicate some of it. But we've also got a ton of dill coming up. Our onions seem to be doing well. And here's our new raised bed that we put in our last video. So you can see here, we have green beans, which I'm going to be picking off, so that way the plant puts more energy into itself. And in here is spinach, bush beans that I started indoors, kale, and I think I'm officially done with spinach, because you can see it's starting to go to seed and we don't have any spinach yet. But there are also 50 pre-germinated bush bean seeds planted in here really thick. So hopefully we will get something out of this. Over here, we have straw flower and chamomile. And then we have our bush cucumbers with some marigolds. You'll see a lot of eggshells in there. And apparently some mushrooms. Pretty cool mushrooms. Check this out. But let's go over to the greenhouses. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I also have dill in here. Over here, we have carrots that came up, carrots that didn't come up, and radishes, which we need to thin out. So here's the mobile greenhouse, and I have some basil planted with tomatoes, some marigolds, more basil, more marigolds, and we do have tomatoes in here, and they're working on it. What you're looking through is a piece of plastic I installed as a screen for when it gets hot enough that we have to open the front door. It has not been hot enough yet that we've had to open the front doors. All we've done is open windows to vent so far. This is the next greenhouse. This is the only one I have vented today, and that's because it tends to hold a lot of moisture, but I am going to close it because of the storms coming, because sometimes what you can get is like an updraft, which will lift the entire greenhouse up. We even have it, well, excuse you, we even have it tied here, but it's pretty protected between the two other greenhouses. So here is greenhouse number 3. We've got more stuff growing. I'm just not going in it because I have it barricaded to keep chickens out. There's my barricade. So this is the original greenhouse. We've got lots of flowers going on. We've got tomatoes going on. And so far, they're doing well. Here's our tomatoes. Let's go to the back garden. There are our potatoes. And I've added some marigolds back here for pollinators as well. The potatoes are just thriving. Here we have Brussels sprouts and cauliflower and broccoli all down there. So this whole garden here is new this year to us, just like many of the raised beds up in the front. And this is, behind our chicken coop and behind our storage building and such. So we're going to see how this works, and then we can take it from there. There are the American breasts. They are hanging out in there until the Cornish cross get processed, which will be this week or within the week. And then we will be moving them down back so that way they have a larger space. But there's only 6 of them, so they're doing just fine in there. Here we are next to the little coop where the breasts are, and you can see we have dismantled the fence where Waylon and Hank were. We also are getting rid of this building. We've been using it since we moved in. It has been a really good coop. We added the turkey nesting boxes. We did some upgrades. We replaced the floor. At this point in time, we just don't feel we need it. And so we are going to give that to somebody who's starting a homestead to take. And part of it is because it's just so crowded here, and we've decided that building is the one to go. What we may do is move the farrowing house, or what was the farrowing house where Norman was, that we put down in the back, that Grant and Norman are currently using, and we may put it here. But the other thing is we do not like the fact that this got so muddy, even with barely any rain this year. So yesterday, Ryan and I took about 6 loads out with the tractor, dug down deep, and we're probably going to replace it with some rock or some crushed stone to raise up the area to keep it from flooding. And then that way, when the pigs are in this small area, for whatever reason, whether it's a winter time or whatever, they have more than just mud to be in. The other thing is we had Waylon who had worms in this area, and I've just never felt comfortable since, because that stays in the soil no matter what you do, from what I understand. So we're in the process of doing that. Here's my girls. Yes. There's. So you see the white on their ears and on their backs. I put some SWAT medication on them. Eleanor and Fiona both look pregnant. Of course, it's still not confirmed, but they're looking pregnant compared to the pictures that I've taken of them a couple months apart. So they will be grazing all up and down here as the grass grows. And Hank and Waylon are down in the back. And they're down right there. Grant and Norman, this is their home base, so you can see it looks horrible. Over the side of that fence was where they were grazing. They are now down all the way in the back. Let me see if I can find them. Well, they were not grazing because there they are. Norman and Grant hanging out by their house. Not in it, but that was the farrowing house that I talked to you guys about. Here's our water tank that we've been using for the gardens with a pump because we have not had rain. So that's one of the costlier issues for us and one of the challenges. So I'm going to talk about that now. Anyone who has a well knows that when you're doing, say you have a 50-gallon well pump tank, right? If you've not used water for anything at all in the house and that tank is full, once you use 50 gallons, you're then running it directly from the well, which means that you are running your pump and at risk of burning it out quicker. So if you're new here, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the expense of gardening, because it's a reality. At some point you have to be real and say, is it worth it for what we're getting? Now, don't get me wrong. Totally passionate about growing my own food. Just considering all of this with the expansion of our garden. And this is why. We've invested in hail netting. We should have enough hail netting for the rest of our gardening careers, is what we feel. It was over $300 to get it. But if it protects the garden, it's worth it. So that's not really a good example, but it does show how much we have to invest to protect what we're growing. You don't want to have your seedlings started in February, get them outside and have them decimated in no time flat. We usually get smaller hail. We get pea size to golf ball size hail. And sometimes the pea size can be a couple inches thick and they're plowing it off the road. So that can be just as damaging. Up the road, not too far from us, we've had softball size hail, and that has taken out windows. It would take out roofs and everything else. But let me show you some of the other challenges. We haul water, and that's because we don't get a lot of rain normally. There are very rare years that we will get a lot of rain and could experience flooding, but they're rare. The last one we saw was 2019. Other than that, we've been dry in a drought status until last year. So we haul water because our wells do not get enough water to replenish the aquifers. So we're trying to be kind to our well because we are blessed to have a well. A lot of people around here have cisterns where they haul every bit of water they use for their home and critters and so on. So we try to haul water for our critters and for our garden. And this is an electric pump because we need to get it all the way down the other side of the chicken coop this year with the expansion of the new garden. Now, if that garden works out well, we will consider raising this to make it a better gravity-fed garden. Right now, this is what we have and it's working. Then consider into it all the seeds, all the seed starting soil, and also the heat mat and the grow light that starts running in February, pretty much 12 to 14 hours a day. So those are just some things to consider. When hauling water, I just wanted to go back to that. We put 225 gallons of water on our garden the other day for a deep water because we had not had rain in a very long time. And every once in a while we deep water because we can't do it every day. 225 gallons along with the water we get for the critters. So a load of 400 gallons costs us $2.50. Now, $2.50 is very cheap. We get it from a private well. Had we gotten it in town, it would be a lot more expensive. But what I want you to consider, $1.25 for 100 days of growing, that's $125 if we put 225 gallons of water a day on the garden. So we try not to do that. We try to hope for rain. We try to do light watering in between. We use moisture meters, but just some of the things to consider. So we are evaluating the expansion of our garden this year to see if it's really worth it. So I hope that gives everybody an idea of what we're dealing with. We are in a very, very low humidity climate, and the water evaporates very quickly. We're at an elevation of 5,318 feet. So that's what we got to do to garden. It's crazy. So, well, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope that helped to explain everything. Have a great day. Take care.